Good morning, everybody. This is Joe, and I'm very happy to see everybody on the air again. And it's a beautiful day here in Hualien. For those of you that are coming, I think you should be already on your way, flying. I think Sister Cheng is on her way here. There's a group of our volunteers from Malaysia, our family members from Malaysia. They will be arriving today. I think we'll be here for about a week or so. I'm sure we will meet and greet here in Hualien. Will be a lot of fun time. And for those of you that are not here, they are not coming to Taiwan, worry not, because just like what Master said today, where is the true place of self-steward? We talk to Stupa. There was there. Did you get the 7 principles to that reference? Sometimes the metaphor are actually far and away. Sometimes the metaphor isn't just in the numbers, but rather it's in the idea. It's in the very principle itself. And therefore, it's something that's a little bit different. So that's what we talked about, the metaphors. And we talk about the offerings. We talk about the purpose of the offering. There are 3 types of offering: the offering of material goods, the offering of respect and reverence, and the offering of action the Dharma. From the kingdom, Dharma in a way that uphold and be happy about this, and proclaiming how much merit he got. The whole idea of protecting was the idea of making the offering to the Dharma, making the offering, and the idea of offering to the Dharma was to pass on the Dharma. But his very action himself, the action of proclaiming all of his merits, have essentially not done nothing to help with passing on the Dharma itself. In fact, it was a detraction from Dharma itself. That was not something that we should be doing. And therefore, the Buddha asked the king to stop saying for the eyes to the sun, pass on, do any benefit to help with becomes meaningless. And the reason that idea of merit becomes, Buddha was very careful in telling the king in that it is important to do these things, yet at the same time, you have to be careful where your heart is, where your mind is. Are you focused on the task of offering? Are you focused on the idea of passing on the Dharma? Or are you more focused and concentrated on getting the merit and letting everybody know about this? So somebody had already previously asked, so the idea of passing on the Dharma is most important in that the people passing on or the people helping to protect the Dharma themselves are actually doing the idea. Can all centers please mute? Thank you. Okay, I think there is a on, but let us continue. Let us continue. Master again. We talk about different types of master in the first place. Let us not be disconnected from master in the first place. That is the most important. And how do we do that? Let's cherish the moment that we have with master. Let us not focus on how are we going to find master in the next life. How about let's making sure that we hold on to master right now? How about let's make sure that we are hanging on to all the teachings and making sure that we practice them now. If we do so, there is no worry. There is no worry that we cannot find master in the next life or in the future. It's the same idea that we cherish every moment right now. So that's what we talked about last week. And this week, we are going to talk about another 2 topics. And the 2 topics are the 2 topics are various merits and ways. And that's the first topic. And the second topic is physical and spiritual location. That's what we're going to, that's why I want to bring this into a short version of so I would like to come back to, sort of have let everybody have a bigger picture about what has transpired, what had happened within this chapter. The very beginning of the chapter, the Buddha went into the various types of people that have obtained different merits or obtained different levels of cultivation. So for example, on the first segment on page 10, what we're seeing here is Buddha says there are sentient beings equal to the sands of the 680 myriads of Nayutas of Ganges River in number. So there's a lot of them aim of the truth and the non-origination of all Dharma. Okay, so So we have begun with all the different variations of different levels. So a group is the next further hinder the purify. Seems like of difference of I, we or not. And rank kindergarten. We don't know. No manager at realm, we really don't understand. So there are so many different ranks. There are so many different layers of levels of cultivation because different merit levels. Different things are done to achieve different levels. And the reason is because there are differences in practices and diligence. Master and the Buddha have already told us what are the ways that we can achieve the ultimate enlightenment of Buddhahood. And that is through non-stopping practice of the 6 paramitas. Non-stopping practice and remembering the 4 encompassing vows. And then there are additional things. For example, the additional efforts that we put in. When we are getting too accomplished, then we have to put additional effort to get us over that hump and get us over that hill so that we can continue to climb up. And there are the 4 ways of attractions that we will always remember because a lot of the cultivation happens among people. So what can we do to help others to understand and at the same time to help us merge with the society? That's the place of cultivation. So these are the ways for us. These are the ways for us to gain a better understanding, to move forward on the path of cultivation. And the reason why there are all these different levels of understanding, all these different ranks of people in different places and understanding is because we practice these methods or these various ways in different diligence. We have different efforts. Some of us, we practice every day. Some of us practice only during the day and the nighttime. Some of us practice during the daytime, and some of us practice during the day and forgot about it throughout the whole day until the next day. So there are differences in practices and diligence. For example, we can tell the difference between our master and ourselves. The diligence itself is different. Therefore, our compassion are going to be different. Therefore, our ranks, our level of understanding will be different. And even though we might start at the same time, after all this so long, there are going to be differences, various in merits, various in practices, various in where we are in terms of cultivation. That's what this chapter is mostly talking about at the beginning. People are in different ranks of cultivation because people have done different practices and diligence. This chapter, there are different other. For example, Master spent a long time, which is prajna or wisdom. Then it's very, very 5. And that is very important because Master talks about if you go for a long term, it's really, really difficult to know what the right things are in direction. You always need that wisdom to go along with the first 5. So it's the same idea of doing the same thing for a long time, but always know that it's the right direction. All those tools, no efforts. Do we have various skillful means and ways for us to practice for all? It's something that grows inside you. It's something that you can help it grow. What can we do? Always, always cultivate this deep faith. At any moment, we see something and it confirms what we learn. It confirms what we have heard about from the sutras. It's something that will deepen our faith. And this is the faith that drives all the tools, all the path that we're supposed to walk. It's something that fuels us to allow us to continue to go on. And that's the deep faith. It keeps us going. It keeps us steady on this path, which is very, very long and very, very difficult. So we're going to talk about the second part, which is the physical and spiritual location. And that's probably the second part of all of this chapter. That's very, very important. So the first part talks about the various ranks and levels of cultivation and why are they varying? Why are they varying? Why isn't everybody Buddha already? We all start with Buddha nature. So why aren't we Buddha already? Well, it's because people have gone through different practices. Some people forgot about it. Some people continue every day. Some people continue every second, every moment. So obviously, there are going to be various of merits. That was what's talked about first. Now, this part, the second part of the sutra, puts all of this together and says, even though you have differences in practices, even though you have differences in diligence, even though you have differences in understanding, The very important thing to remember is there is no difference in the physical and spiritual. It's all in our mind. So if we go back to chapter 10, the expounder of the Dharma, okay, the expounder of the teacher of the Dharma. So in chapter 10, it is already mentioned in chapter 10 that Buddha said, wherever this sutra is taught, and it's talking about the Lotus Sutra, wherever this sutra is taught, read, recited, copied, or wherever it is to be found, one should build a 7-jewel stupa, or a treasure tower, of great height and width, and richly. There is no, because the expounder of the Dharma, but who Buddha is Dharma for the future, different culture. In order, the only thing is to build the houses for the Sangha. It isn't the only thing is to copy and recite the sutra. The most important thing is to become the expounder, the teacher of the Dharma, to pass this idea on. And not only that, is to put it into practice. So starting in chapter 10, the Buddha was already asking people to be the flag carrier, the flag bearer of this Dharma. Buddha was already asking people to pass this teaching on. And therefore is saying that there is no need to put a relic of the Buddha inside the stupa, because the Tathagata, or the Buddha itself, is already in it. Because wherever the sutra is, the Buddha is there. So in chapter 10, it gave us an idea that is there. The bigger, right before the Buddha in height, which emerged from the ground and hover in the air. Okay, so right away in chapter 10, chapter 10 says that there are going to be, wherever there's the sutra, there's going to be the stupa. And therefore chapter 11 says, well, there is Lotus Sutra here and now, at where the Buddha was speaking. Therefore the treasure tower appeared. But remember, read it from in front of you right now. You would think that it rised from the ground and hover in the air. But Master the Buddha was preaching at Vulture's Peak. It's a very small place. This Johannes, which is in fact 20,000 miles in height, is a very, very big treasure tower. And that thing hovering over the Vulture's Peak is almost impossible. What this means is that this stupa actually rises up from the ground that's in our heart. It appears in our mind, because after 10 chapters, after the Buddha had already explained the sutra for 10 chapters, in our heart, there is already the Lotus Sutra, the idea of the Lotus Sutra, and the idea that it is all of our responsibility to become the expounder of the Dharma. Therefore, the moment you agreed, the moment that you have accepted the faith, the moment that you have accepted our responsibility to pass on the Dharma, that's the moment that the treasure tower emerged from within you. And that is why we come back to this true place of cultivation. Master talked about that today. At the beginning, for almost 15 minutes, she talked about there are all these places that we can cultivate. The places where at this moment, at this time, what am I doing? Focus on that, and that's a place of cultivation. If that's a place of cultivation, that's where the stupa is going to be. That's the place. If you follow the path, if you follow the teaching, all around you, all the buildings, all of these wonderful landscaping will all become 37 principles of enlightenment. And all the spaces within it will be able to house all the Sanghas and all the Buddhas and all the Dharma that exist in this world. That's the true place of cultivation. It isn't in some faraway stupa. And so Master talked about today in Xun Fa Xiang, she talked about the true Vulture's Peak, the true place in India, or the place where the Buddha was enlightened under the Bodhi tree. If you go there today, sit under the tree, are you going to be enlightened? No. Well, at least I don't think I will. Maybe you could, but I can't. So why not? That's where the Buddha was enlightened. So why can't I be enlightened when I go there? Because it isn't the place that mattered. The whole thing that mattered was in our heart, in our mindset. Are we there? Are we truly there? Is there a moment where I cherish the Dharma? the moment where I cherish all life beings, all sentient beings, do I put all sentient beings before my own self, or am I too attached to myself? So all these things are not associated to the place itself, but rather what we think about, what our mind is. So the true place of cultivation isn't in the stupa, isn't the stupa, isn't the place of the Bodhi tree, isn't anywhere but in our heart. But honestly, if we look around, what do we see? We see temples, we see stupas, we see all of these things. So even after this particular chapter, even after chapter 10, chapter 11, and all the chapters beyond, even after chapter 17, in the various merits and virtues, telling us there is no need to build a stupa. There is no need to build the dormitories and housings for the Sangha. Because as long as you uphold this sutra, as long as you read it, recite it, copy it, uphold it, and practice it, that place will be the stupa is. That place will be big enough and wide enough for all the sanghas to rest, to house in, to live in. But all we see are the stupas and the houses for the sangha. So what does that mean? Does that mean we don't understand? Or does that mean that whatever the Buddha said just didn't carry enough weight in the 2,500 years since? Neither. It actually means that some have already practiced. And that's why this great space have become the places where the Sangha can stay, can reside. This place already have stupa, rise high above. It's not just the form itself, but rather it's the fact that people have really, really done it. But it's not enough. It's not enough. And Master is trying to tell us that what's more important isn't in what you see. What's more important is in the cultivation. But it's also important what we actually do and practice, because that's what people can see. And when people see it, they will learn and they will follow. So the true place of cultivation rests between form and emptiness. We should not be attached to the stupa only, but we should not be attached to nothingness, because there's nothing that we can see. And we ordinary beings need to see something in order for us to believe. So for those of you that are thinking, well, is the Buddha saying, don't build any stupa, don't build any temple, don't build any housings for the Sangha at all? Is that what he's saying? No. What he's saying is, if we are able to practice the Lotus Sutra to the utmost sincerity and practice it to the word, upholding it in every moment of our lives, then we in fact will be doing the actions to build these stupas, whether in form or void. It does not matter. But we are carrying out the idea to pass on the Dharma. And as long as the Dharma is passed on, then the Sangha will be there will be Sangha, there will be Buddha, and there will be Dharma. And all of that will be housed in the great residence of deep faith. So it always is, don't be too attached to nothingness. But at the same time, don't be too attached to the form that there has to be a stupa, there has to be a sutra, there has to be a Buddha in order for us to do something. But rather, can we take it within ourselves, have that faith, and understand that we ourselves are the true place of cultivation. And lastly, I would like to share with everybody that this is truly a very difficult task. Yesterday, Master talked about forbearance, talked about diligence, talked about samadhi. She talked about the last 5 of the parameters. And just yesterday, we heard the story of the poison dragon who was practicing forbearance, who was practicing to be compassionate. And at the same time, there was a hunter that come over and was directly peel off the skin of the dragon. And the pain, you can imagine how painful it was. But for the dragon itself, he knew that any action that it took is going to kill this hunter. So it chose to not do anything and bear through all the pain. To be able to do that, it takes a lot more than a stupa. It takes a lot more than a statue of the Buddha in front of you. It takes strength inside. So yesterday, there was a misunderstanding in our office, and which really upset me. And I never felt such overwhelming anger that I had to go to the person in face and trying to figure out what went wrong. So I'm glad that the person wasn't there when I went to see him. So eventually we both cooled down, and eventually we apologized to each other. But all I want to say is how easy it is for us to forget. Even when I am in this place of cultivation, in this place where it was built by Master, where the Dharma is housed, it is so easy for us to lose ourselves at that moment, and we have temporary insanity that we cannot uphold the sutra for that very brief moment. That's the true place of cultivation. So for that, I truly repent that in that I am preaching this, but I'm not doing what I say. I'm not practicing it because it's so easy to lose that at the brief moment. So let us remember, let us not forget that. How do we not forget Master? Let's keep Master in our heart at all times. How do we not forget Dharma? Let us keep Dharma with us at all times. Not next time, not tomorrow, not an hour later, but right now. That's how we're able to keep the Dharma, and that's how we're able to find Master again in the future. So that's my sharing for today, and hopefully we can remember the true place of cultivation is here and now. It's where we are, it's what we're doing at this moment, it's what we're saying, it's what we're hearing, it's what we're doing at this moment. That's the true place of cultivation. And if we follow the Lotus Sutra, then at that place, at that time, at that location, a stupa will appear. And in that stupa, you will be able to find the true Buddha nature. Thank you all for listening to today's sharing. And I think I'm going to ask Sister Jane for the next segment. And if there's any more time at the end, I will go ahead and answer some of the questions that we have left from the previous sessions. Thank you.
In fact, I also happen to prepare this topic called Santi. Kanti or Santi. Santi means the third of the 6 parameters. In Theravada school, there are 10 parameters. In our Mahayana, we have 6. So both also emphasize a lot on Santi, this thing called perseverance, this forbearance or patience or forgiveness and acceptance. So this morning, Master also mentioned once we can forbear and endure, we will not have anger. So I happen to hear also from Brother Joe also. Now we meet situations like that all the time. Especially myself, I share my this kitchen experience. All the time, very stressful. The heat, the knives, all the sisters shouting at each other. So a lot of these situations, I'm being tested. So at one time, one brother, no, this one is not sister. One brother shouted at me, and immediately I never thought of that moment. What would I react? Should I get angry or just hit back or talk back to him? But because Master told us the few methods on forbearance, so there was one method called by the never sliding Bodhisattva, Tzu Chi, that anything that happens to us, we just bow and accept and say thank you to him for showing us the situations, all the PMOs and the people, matter and objects. All these are testing us. They are like exit tests, and it's cultivation. Master Cheng this morning also talked about or everything is cultivation. Everything is for us to to cultivate our, whether we are in a samadhi state or not. So by having this, this morning, Master told us the importance of forbearance. So in our Chinese culture also, we have this saying called 小不忍则乱, and then also this is a very beautiful word. 忍 means there's a knife right in your pointing right at your heart and poking it and hurting you. So when we can withstand the thing, we can remain unaffected and untouched, and to be able to accept and withstand this pain, this kind of torture, this kind of maybe in daily encounter with PMO, especially in Tzu Chi, when we do Renxun, when we meet people, we have all kinds of challenges, all hindrances. But the way I look at it, I mean, if people matters and all these things, they give us a lot of challenges. I myself look at it. In the kitchen, I look at it, this is another opportunity for me to form good affinity, for me to plant positive seed. 种善因 to form good affinity, 结善缘, and also 消业障 for me to clear my old debts. These are all past debts, past karma, all the karmic forces coming into, not to disturb me, but they are testing me, see whether I will, get angry. Because when we get angry, we know that from Jing's aphorism, to get angry means to punish oneself with other people's mistake. So why should we do that? And also, 生气是短暂的发疯, it's a temporary insanity. When we get upset, when we get angry, and also not only it's a 短暂发疯, but we are creating more karma and forming negative affinity with people, with our our environment. And also there's this Chinese, I think it's 经世语 also, 一山破千灾. When we do the good deeds, we say good things. One good deed can ward off thousands of all these calamities and disasters. 一山破千灾. And also another 经世语, 脾气影响天气. How our emotion, how our anger, how our temper, 脾气 is temper, how our temper can affect the weather. So you see our rising and falling, all these our thoughts, our speech and action can really affect our ecosystem. And one more very important aphorism, 一人一善, 远离灾难. When each person also contribute one good deed, nice words, positive words. In fact, we can immediately see the effect. The disaster and all this calamity can be avoided, or can be the impact can be lessened. We see this from all the past Tzu Chi, our Tazang Jing, our past history, from Philippines to Taiwan, all these disasters, because of 一人一善, we can actually do that. So this one is basically when we have anger, we can affect the whole environment. In the kitchen, I know. Immediately when I bow, immediately when I make a 90-degree bow to apologize and感恩 to his brother who shouted at me, when he's under stress, he's always like that. So I kind of like accepted the thing. So when everybody saw this, they also will try to emulate. Next time when they are not happy with certain people or what, they just bow and say感恩 and say thank you, because we are being given the opportunity to see whether we have the thing or not, the thing or the samadhi. So Master talk about the 6 parameters. These few days, I feel very good, because she told me about the need to forbear more, to withstand more, and to accept. A lot of things. A lot of things we cannot change. A lot of things we cannot control. So this morning she wanted us to go back, to have the memory, to revise history. Go back. This morning she brought us back to Salvador, the earthquake. So all these brothers and sisters from the US, they went there to build schools, build houses. So all these things are this master's way of showing us Tzu Chi, how to, when we encounter certain events, how we use this event to turn it into, to transform all these events into wisdom, how to turn all these challenges into, turn it into our advantage and to improve on our wisdom life, to improve on these few days. Also talk about maybe Brother Joe can help us in this one. These few days, Master Cheng and talk about 一切知啊，一切道种, and then the 一切种子. How is this related to our this one, the core cultivation of this chapter? I am still a bit confused on this, because how is it related to, for example, our Yin Hua Shen, Bao Shen, and Fa Shen, and also how is it related to 转世成智, how to turn it into the wisdom of the accomplishment of deeds, wondrous observation, and also the equality, 平等心智. How we can use the 6 parameters, the 4 embracing virtues, and what is it? The 4 great vows. 4 great vows I know because it's a Dharma. 4 great vows. Whatever problem we encounter, so we have to refer back to this the 4 phrases in our vows as a bodhisattva. Why do we need to? Apart from practicing 6 parameters, why do we need to go through the 4 great vows every morning? Why do we need to, why do we need to revise this or chant this? I was advised by one Shifu in the effort to do this every morning, so I find it very useful. Now I realize. So whenever problem we have, or we know that we have to do all these 众生, 菩萨所缘, 缘苦众生, because all these 众生, the sentient beings, they are our field of blessing for us to cultivate. They are, in fact, they are accomplishing us, not we helping them, but in fact, they are helping us to grow in wisdom life. That's why we call them 感恩户. They are not being aided by us, but they are our 感恩户. We should be thankful and show our gratitude to them. And one last thing, Master Cheng talked about this morning, the 出师慧理. I'm very touched. 出师慧理. I always had problems turning all this consciousness, turning all these events, all this PMO. How to transform it into our wisdom. How to transform from the five senses, transform to the wisdom of accomplishment of deeds, and followed by the wisdom of observation, wondrous observation, and so on and so forth. So this morning, these 4 words, 出师慧理, then brought me into another one. We don't want to talk about principles and Dharma all the time, and we don't want to preach to people all the time. So Master Cheng has this method called 以示显理, 出师慧理, 以理转世, not 以示转理, using the principles to change the world. But we do not want to emphasize on that too much. We just do it, we just do it, and people will look at it and they will, if it's good, they will emulate. And Tzu Chi platform offers this opportunity to serve all those sentient beings in suffering and in pain, in poverty, all the marginalized ones. They will benefit from Tzu Chi. All the Tzu Chi brothers and sisters, all the good deeds done by brothers and sisters. So and also this in fact, Master Cheng also mentioned the word that we are a place for sentient beings to lean on, to depend on, to rest. So I prepared one song from this Hualien Jing, the Sutra of Infinite, Sutra of Infinite Meaning, Hualien Jing. There's this part, this 2.5 minutes phrase. I find it very powerful to describe what Master Cheng wanted us to do, and also I feel very strongly about this. Maybe we do not know much about Dharma, but if you can memorize this one and sing this part every morning, it's the most beautiful. The melody is good, the message is very powerful, and also it coincides with what Master Cheng is trying to teach this chapter. So to end the sharing this morning, to end the sharing, our goal is to forbear, to endure. 3 stages. One is sentient, one is Forbearance, and then the ultimate goal is Forbearance, the Buddha state of mind. This morning, Master also Cheng, and we had to enter the Buddha's state of thinking, the view, the understanding. Not our own view, not our own thinking and understanding, but using Master Cheng's view or Buddha's views and understanding in seeing things, in analyzing things, and solving problems. I think Tzu Chi, together with brothers and sisters, everyone is our teacher, everyone is our grand sutra. So we try to learn from everyone. You may not like the person, or you may not like the situation, but all these are our teachers. I think all are our teachers, all are my masters, all are they are my Da Zhang Jing, they are all my grand sutra. Any situation, all the challenges, all the stress given when we are having these big events, small events. But try come to the kitchen, my favorite place. Every day I'm being tested. Every moment I'm being tested on my samadhi. Every moment is a good cultivation moment for me. So I encourage everyone, even if you go back to the abbot, you can go and work in the field, in the soap factory, or in the place where you prepare rice. But I think the best is the kitchen. From 4:30 a.m. you can work, and you can have many insights in there. So I encourage everyone to work in the kitchen, to realize the importance of this thing called santi, forbearance, endurance, 忍辱. And I don't know the English term for this 三魁法. Maybe brother can revise with the 三魁法. 入这个慈悲如来寺穿这个柔和忍辱衣 and then 做这个诸法空为坐 The first two, 慈悲 love and compassion, as in the room of the Tathagata, we will gain a lot of love and compassion. And when we enter this room, we will immediately be a very loving and compassionate person, as like Lord Buddha. And also when we wear this robe called Rou He Ren Lu Yi, this robe of forbearance, immediately when in Tzu Chi, we automatically will be, we will have a lot of forbearance and endurance, and we can withstand all challenges. Why? Because we want to help the sentient beings, because we want to deliver all the sentient beings. So we need to forbear, we need to endure and withstand all challenges. And 诸法空为坐 is, of course, everything is impermanent. No, we should not be attached to the forms. We should not be attached to the appearance. So all in all, Master Cheng wanted us to learn more on this forbearance, because if we don't forbear, the whole field of all these accumulated virtues and merits that we accumulate will be up in torch, up in fire, if we do not forbear, if we do not 忍，小不忍则乱。 一念嗔心起啊，百万障门开哦。It means one single thought of this anger, the millions and millions of all these 障门 means what? 障门 means all the karmic disturbances, all the karmic hindrances will come in front of you and will give you hell a lot of time. And so the forbearance, I find it very, very good. This morning, in fact, these 2 weeks, the Master Cheng talk about the 6 parameters together with the prashna, the four. I find it wonderful. So with these 6 parameters, we can immediately go out and apply. We go out and apply and see whether this thing help us to clear our affliction, clear our affliction, clear our all these habitual tendencies. I think Master Cheng show us the path forward this morning. The moment you use these 4 words, okay, every event is to deliver you. Every event, every person. That's why we need to感恩 to everyone, everything, and every day we need to感恩. Why? Because they are here to show us the way. They want to show us the truth. But if you react or you do not respond accordingly, then you miss the opportunity to gain the insight. You miss the opportunity to have the enlightenment. That moment is maybe there is a small enlightenment, but when you accumulate all these small little enlightenment, you will have the big one after Anuttara Samyak Sambuddhasa. Not this life, but maybe next life or few more lifetimes to come. But 多做多得咯，少做多事。Master Cheng wanted us to move into the masses more, to serve more. So shouldn't complain if our 组长our head, our daily head give us a lot of things to do. We shouldn't complain. We should be thankful, 感恩咯。So感恩 everyone for giving me this opportunity this morning, this Saturday morning. Indeed, it's a very beautiful Saturday morning, full of Dharma joy for everyone of us here in KL. And
well, first of all, thank you, Brother Jeff, for that wonderful sharing and the singing as well. I would like to address briefly the 3 questions left. Actually, 2 of them, I believe, I attempted to answer. I'm not sure if it's satisfactory. But I would like to get back to what Brother Jeff was talking about in terms of the 3 wisdoms. I think it's the easiest way to see the 3 wisdom, 一切智道种智, 一切种智, is a way of thinking that 一切智, or the knowledge of everything. It sounds like it's a big thing, but it's what it is. It's knowledge. So for example, we all know about recycling. We all know about the importance of recycling, of sorting the garbage, of not wasting. So that's knowledge. We know about this. We talk about this. But that's where it stops, knowing something. The second part, 道种智, actually goes into practice. You know more when you get into it. It's no longer just book knowledge. It's no longer just wisdom and knowledge that's written in the books and textbook and written in the newspaper that you read from. It's actually, you walk in it. That's why it's called 道种. You walk at it. It's a path you walk on. And from there, you understand its origin, where it came from, and it merges. It fuses what you had already known before with what you're doing now. So all these fuse together. It gives you the wisdom and the better understanding of what recycling is all about, of what sorting is all about, of what all this labor is all about. So knowing something is knowledge. Doing something and fusing that together, it's what's called 道种智. What's 一切种智? It goes beyond that. For an elder who has been doing recycling for a long time, she or he might not have 一切智, might not know all the technical background and knowledge that's necessary to it. But she had definitely walked the path and understand the importance of her work. But can she go beyond that and see the recycling as an action to protect the earth? And can she go beyond that and see the earth as something that's like our Buddha nature, and see her action as something that's purifying our afflictions from our Buddha nature? Can she go beyond that and say, oh, so I don't just focus and attach to doing recycling, but rather I need to cultivate myself, but rather I need to help others learn and cultivate as well. Just like what I'm doing with recycling. It's not just to help my home to be clean, but it's to help the earth to be clean. It's not just to help the earth to be clean, but it's also to get everyone involved so that we can all make our homes clean and make the earth clean. So that's what the three wisdoms are. First is knowledge. Second is wisdom gained by doing. Third, can you go beyond that? Can you transcend that wisdom to see a greater purpose, to see a greater effect, to see the greater influence, to get everybody involved, not just one person, not just one field, but rather everyone in all things. That's why it's called 一切种子. So how does it actually relate? How does that actually relate to what we're seeing right now? Same thing. 一切智 tells us that we are learning from the knowledge. We are learning as we are reading through the sutra. We're reading the sutra and we're beginning to understand. But 道种智 means following the sutra and work at it. Can you see? Can you understand where it's coming from? Can you understand your true faith? Can you understand that all the practices and the skills, the 6 paramitas and the 4 ways of attraction and the 4 additional efforts and 4 encompassing vows, all of these, do it and you will feel something. And the moment you feel something, you understand the joy, then you want to get this feeling to more people, this teaching to more people. And in that practice through a long time, you accumulate more wisdom. And that's how we get to 一切种子, which is the level of enlightenment. So that's a very short answer to Brother Jeff's very short question, but it should get a bigger answer. But I hope that's something that's easy to understand. The 3 wisdoms, the levels of wisdom, the 一切智, which is all knowledge, 道种智, which is the wisdom that you get from actually doing something that you gain from the knowledge, and then 一切种智, which is encompassing everything and going above the original thing that you're thinking about, going above that wisdom and seeing how that wisdom ties in with everything else, the universal truth. And that is why the Buddha is called the universal enlightened, because the truth is connected to everything else. And in his mind, it's already all connected. So that's my brief answer to Brother Jeff's question. And I hope that at least clears up some confusion. We're going to get back to the questions next time. But thank you very much for all of you that participated. And it's always something that I look forward to. And it's always something that I hope everyone can benefit from. For any of the questions and comments, please refer to our online chat group or Sister Xiaojing or Sister Jane or Brother Jeff to help all of us better understand the Lotus Sutra. So until next time, please be safe and take good care of each other. Thank you and goodbye. Take care.